I mean, this result does wonders, doesn't it? And we look at how this season compares to previous seasons, especially even the last season. And you look at this result in isolation and go, Forest beat City 1-0 at the City Ground. It's mad, isn't it? But this season, it's not a surprise. And this was a really hard-fought win for Forest, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But they will take the fact that they've come off the back of this difficult run of fixtures and they needed to build momentum back up ready for the rest of the season. And they managed to go and get a point against Arsenal and 3 against City. That's huge for them. I think the fact that they lacked a bit of something in a few of their games recently, or they had some pretty poor results with that weird 7-0 in the middle of it. I think people started to feel like Forest were kind of reverting to where you kind of expect them to be in the league. So to make a kind of statement with the win like this and assert yourselves as not only like leading the Champions League race now, but actually drawing Arsenal closer as well. They're now only 4 points off second. That's huge for them. I mean, they've got 4 points away from second, 3 points above fourth. So we're talking about, are they going to sustain this place in the top 4? Well, they're just as likely to catch up on the league title chasers, supposedly.
I mean, how mad would that be? Nottingham Forest in second. Yeah, the title seems like a procession now. But yeah, definitely history is beckoning for Forest in this season. And it wasn't a pretty game, really, was it, Dave? And up until Callum Hudson-Odoi's trademark style winner, it felt like it was going to be a really maybe a hard-fought draw more than a hard-fought win. But to a man, I think every Forest player was really impressive. I think they all put a shift in. Ola Aina, I thought, was superb. Who stood out for you, Dave?
I agree. I think Aina had a particularly brilliant game. I thought Dominguez particularly supported him on that side really well up against Doku. I think Doku rarely got a look in down that side, and credit to the both of them. I think they worked really well together. And then Murillo, I thought he was probably their best player. It was difficult to see where the breakthrough was going to come from, wasn't it? Because it was a little bit of it looked like the game was just slowly cruising and going through the motions. I thought Haaland was very quiet in the game. I thought Milenkovic and Murillo did a really good job on him, and Man City just looked out of ideas. And we've seen at times this season in Forest, with particularly their attacking options that they have, they're able to take the game away from you in a split second. And it was a good strike from Hudson-Odoi. I don't know whether the goalkeeper probably should be doing a little bit better there at his near post, but they've got the players there to create these sort of goals and these moments. And it's great to see Forest obviously pulling results out of the bag, because only a few weeks ago we said this was a massive few weeks for them. You look at what they've done. If you're looking at the Arsenal and the Man City game, if you've offered them 4 points out of those 2 games, they'd snap your hand off.
100%, yeah. I think Forest season continues to be a positive one, and any kind of blip they've had so far has been 1 or 2 games at the most. So what's their running looking like, Miles? Can you see them consolidating that in the next few games? Because I think that's the thing with this Premier League, isn't it? Points have been taken off everybody left, right and centre. So if they can find some consistency in the next handful of games, maybe they can start to think maybe this could happen.
Yeah, we looked at the run of fixtures Forest had and looked at all the challenges, and now it feels like there's a couple more favourable games on the horizon. Obviously, they've got the FA Cup quarter-final to contend with in a couple of weeks, but they've got Ipswich next away from home, and Ipswich have done nothing at home this season, so you think that that's a really good opportunity for them to again get some distance between them and the chasing pack. Then they've got Man United at home. Sorry, boys, but that's 3 points. And then they travel across the Midlands to come and see us. And with Villa's home record, that'd be a really interesting game. Both teams chasing European football down. So I think getting through those last 2 games was a really big thing, because after the Newcastle result, they'll have been really frustrated. But to maintain their place in the FA Cup and really go on a really good cup run, plus then get results against Arsenal and Man City, that is huge. And I wonder if actually there's been a lot of talk about Ola Aina's future and whether Man City might look at him in the summer. But I mean, Dave mentioned Ederson's mistake for the goal. Should they be looking at Matt Sells as well? Because Forest feel like they've got a squad full of players right now that are destined for Champions League football with them in one way or another. The way they're performing this season, they deserve that level, and I think you will get consistency out of them. I mean, Hudson-Odoi's return was huge as well. I heard Lineker refer to him as Robin Hudson-Odoi on Match of the Day, which probably took a lot away from the performance for me, but ultimately he was so threatening still, and Man City just didn't really know how to deal with quite an obvious threat. And Forest's organisation meant that they weren't able to create any threats of their own. I mean, leaving Marmoush on the bench until the 70th minute, when you could see, like you say, that Alaina had Doku's number and that they've got such a potent threat that they've spent a lot of money to bring in January. It's not like they're waiting for European fixtures or the FA Cup themselves. So why are they now not utilising those additions in a game that was there for the taking for a long time? Whereas Forest rode out any kind of minor threat that they faced and created their own chances that seemed far more clinical, didn't they?